Now you are seeing the 2001 Lexus SC430 or Toyota Soarer, and it is my Toyota Soarer. I bought this car last 5 years ago, and today I'm gonna tell you about 5 years ownership of this car. A couple of months ago, I reviewed my friend white Toyota Soarer, and I put the review video link in this video description. And today I'm gonna talk about how I maintain during the 5 years ownership of this car, including the suspension components maintenance, the engine component maintenance, and some interior maintenance. So when we talk about this car, everybody wants to know the maintenance of this roof. Okay, so let's open it. As you can see, this car roof mechanism is still pretty good, even though this car age is like 20 years ago. So that's why everybody loves Japanese car, because they are so reliable. But actually, I failed my roof mechanism one time in my 5 years ownership. So actually, it's not a roof mechanism, it's electrical components. So because behind this wood panel there's an electrical circuit, and that seems so important because they are behind the wood panel. And one day, the sound is something annoying sound is happening when I'm driving the car. So I want to silence that sound. So I opened the glove box and reach to that things behind the wood panel and do some stuff. So I did some important mistakes, and that failed my roof system, not the mechanism. Every motor and some every other components are good, just the electrical components fail. So there's a so important electrical circuit behind this wood panel, and also there's another one in the trunk. So when you open the trunk, you will find the big hump, and there's a so important electrical components also. So that's also the roof component mechanisms. So that's only total 2 roof components circuits in this car. So I fixed that electrical components behind that wood panel, and its roof it's good again, and then it's still good now. So roof problem, that's all. Another maintenance, it's not the maintenance I'm still considering to maintain, is the leather. This car is like 20 years old, and the leathers are not pretty good. You can see the ripped leather. The leather is torn, and we can see the things inside. So this car is like 20 years old, and that's why you can see the cracked leather lines in the whole interior. So and I'm considering to fix it, to maintain it, but still not. So interior is important, because there's no like a similar car outside with this SC430 or Toyota Soarer. Every parts in this interior is is only for the Toyota Soarer. There's no similar parts, but that is just the interior. The exterior, I mean the suspension components, engine components, are so many similar cars outside. So there's also another important maintenance of this car. It's under the hood. So the engine is the same with another Lexus model, so Lexus LS430, and another Lexus model GS430. So engine components are so plentiful, it's not rare, so you can find it easily, the components easily, and maintain it. So it's easy. The engines are the same, but you cannot put that Lexus LS430 engine in this Lexus SC430, because the engine mounting plates are not the same with the Lexus LS430. So you cannot put that engine in this, even though the engines are the same. I also do the replacement of the aircon compressor. During the 5 years of ownership, I changed once the aircon compressor, because after buying this car, and 3 years later the aircon compressor didn't work, so I replaced it with another used one, and it's still good now, so I changed that also. The aircon compressor is not same as in the Lexus LS430 or Toyota Soarer. So in Myanmar, it's a little bit difficult to find that compressor. And another maintenance is the battery. During the 5 years of ownership, I changed the battery 3 times, and the last time I changed the battery is the 2018. So that battery is almost like 3 years. So I'm so happy to see the battery is still good, and I'm so confused when I drive this car of the city. Okay, another maintenance is the suspension and suspension components maintenance. So when I bought this car odometer that shows 61,000 kilometers. So now it's 89,000 kilometers. So I drove like nearly 30,000 kilometers during the 5 years. So and that 5 years of ownership, I also changed the front suspension and components. So the suspension components are not so rare. It's pretty the same with the Toyota Crown Magister. So it's not so rare to find, a little bit rare, but not so rare, not so difficult to find that components. So that might helpful if you change your front suspension components too. Okay, after the front suspension, the rear suspension is also important. The rear suspension components are pretty the same with the Toyota Mark II. So in this car, you can see the parts of the Lexus LS430 or Toyota Soarer and the Toyota Crown Magister and Toyota Mark II. The 3 other car component parts are in this car. So yeah, Toyota is like that. So those are the maintenance that I made of my car. Nowadays this car is so old, and people are so afraid, especially the roof of this car. People are so afraid to buy this car because they will think the roof mechanism will be failed after they buy it. As I showed you, there are 2 important electric circuit places. One is in the dash and one is in the trunk. But be careful of those places. As for me, the roof mechanism is almost every time is good. Nothing is happened. So I know it's so reliable for me. Yes, just best beware of the interior parts. They are so rare to find. Even though I think even though in the US or everywhere in the country, they're so rare to find. They're worse in Myanmar. So be careful of the interior parts. But some other suspension parts and some engine components and some other parts are not so rare to find, so easy. So that's all about the maintenance of this car. If you have a Toyota Soarer or Lexus SC430, tell me some facts, your maintenance of your car in the comments below. So I like to read some other Soarer maintenance in the comments. So please write down in the comments. So thank you very much.